Hi learners, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to learn English through listening to the story about Queen Elizabeth's life. Before starting this lesson, let me ask you some questions so that you can practice speaking English with me. Let's go. What do you know about Queen Elizabeth? How long has she been ruling England? Who was the first country to recognize her as the Queen? What are your feelings about her? Could you please share your answers in the comments section below? Let's see who will answer all of these questions correctly. Okay, before I begin the story, let's have a look at the vocabulary. We'll discuss difficult words while listening to the story and write them down in the comments section below. Also, don't forget to pause the video whenever you need to take a note of new words. And if you think you've learned at least 3 new words by the end of this lesson, you're eligible for the certificate. Are you excited? Let's get started then. Elizabeth Alexandra Mary was born on April 21st, 1926, at around 2:40 a.m. in Mayfair, London. Her full name was Princess Elizabeth Alexandra Mary. She was the first child of the Duke and Duchess of York. Later, King George VI and Queen Elizabeth. The birth was announced from the 18th balcony of Buckingham Palace, which was decorated with flowers in the colors of the British royal family, white roses and orange blossoms. From the moment she was born, it was clear that Elizabeth was not an ordinary baby. The palace staff were so impressed by her calm demeanor and composure that they commented that she was born to be a queen. As the firstborn child of the heir to the throne, Elizabeth had quite a unique upbringing. At the age of 2, she began to suffer from childhood ailments, including tonsillitis and sore throats, forcing her parents to hire a nanny to care for her. Her father, King George, was very fond of outdoor activities like hunting and shooting, and he passed this passion on to his daughter. He taught her how to ride a horse from a very young age. On her 4th birthday, she rode a Shetland pony named Billy. Her mother, Queen Elizabeth, was more reserved and preferred to spend time alone reading or writing rather than socializing. But she was still very devoted to her daughter and made sure that Elizabeth received the best possible education. When Elizabeth was 4 years old, she made her first public appearance on the balcony of Buckingham Palace with her parents and her younger sister, Princess Margaret. This was the beginning of her lifelong duty to serve her country and people. While her father was the king, Elizabeth and her sister lived with her parents at 17, 5 Park Lane in London. However, when George V died and Elizabeth's uncle, Edward VIII, took the throne, the family moved to Royal Lodge, Windsor. In 1936, 8-year-old Elizabeth and her sister Margaret were sent to study at the prestigious boarding school South Lodge in Sussex for a month each summer. They stayed there for 2 months the following year because of the outbreak of World War II. They were initially tutored privately by a governess, but they joined the other students in September 1939, after their parents approved. When the war broke out, they left the school to stay with their parents at Castle Windsor. During the war, Elizabeth listened to her mother's advice to help others less fortunate than themselves. She spent much of her time raising morale among civilians and troops by appearing at public events with her family. On one occasion, she and her sister even broadcast a message to the people of Britain over the BBC in an effort to raise morale. In the broadcast, the young princesses expressed their admiration for those who were fighting for their country and urged everyone to do their part to contribute to the war effort. It was a powerful message that resonated with the people of Britain and helped to boost morale during a very difficult time. The royal family also evacuated to the countryside for their safety, staying at Windsor Castle, Royal Lodge, and occasionally at Castle Balmoral. The sisters were instructed to prepare for their future roles should anything happen to their parents. This included learning how to receive and respond to visitors and practicing their curtsies. They also took on some royal duties, such as attending garden parties and other minor royal engagements. Throughout the war, Elizabeth and Margaret kept up with their studies and were tutored privately in a variety of subjects. Their education focused on history, literature, and the arts, as well as the duties and responsibilities of the British monarchy. They also received instruction in public speaking, etiquette, and protocol. Despite the challenges and uncertainties of wartime, the princesses were able to maintain a sense of normalcy in their lives, thanks to their parents' efforts to provide them with a stable and supportive environment. When the war ended, Elizabeth and Margaret were overjoyed. They celebrated the news by dancing and singing with other young people in Windsor. The royal family returned to London and resumed their normal life. Soon afterwards, Elizabeth and her sister attended the wedding of Princess Marie Louise, Duchess of Kent, and her husband, the former Prince Franz Joseph of Bourbon and Parma. Afterwards, the four of them went on vacation to Royal Rothesay in Scotland for 2 months. There, they enjoyed hiking, swimming, fishing, and boating. In July 1947, India gained independence from British rule and became a dominion within the Commonwealth. In October of the same year, Elizabeth's cousin, the 18-year-old King George of Greece and Denmark, married Princess Marina of Greece and Denmark at St. George's Chapel in Windsor. For the wedding, Elizabeth wore a lilac velvet and sequin full-length evening gown designed by Madame Handley Seymour. In December, Elizabeth attended a party given by Lord and Lady Fermoy in honor of Princess Margaret's 17th birthday. Later that month, Elizabeth and Margaret went to South Africa on a royal tour to represent their mother, who was ill at the time. After returning to England, Elizabeth accompanied her parents to Kenya in January 1952, where they spent time at the Treetops Hotel. It was here that Elizabeth learned of her father's death from a local newspaper. His death meant that she would become the new monarch at the age of 25, a role for which she had been prepared since childhood. As the new queen, she inherited a vast empire that spanned across the globe. Upon learning of her father's death, Elizabeth immediately flew back to England, where she was met with an outpouring of support and adulation from her people. As the news of her accession to the throne spread, people gathered outside Buckingham Palace to lay flowers and express their loyalty to the new monarch. Elizabeth was determined to honor her father's legacy and serve her people to the best of her ability. She knew that she had big shoes to fill, but she was up for the challenge. On June 2, 1953, Elizabeth's coronation took place at Westminster Abbey. It was a grand and elaborate affair that was watched by millions of people around the world. Elizabeth looked stunning in her coronation gown, which was designed by Madame Handley Seymour and embroidered with intricate designs and precious stones. The ceremony itself was filled with symbolism and tradition, and Elizabeth was crowned the Queen of the United Kingdom and the other Commonwealth realms. It marked the beginning of a new era in British history, and people were eager to see what the future would hold under Elizabeth's reign. As the Queen, Elizabeth's primary responsibility was to serve her people and uphold the traditions and values of the British monarchy. She worked tirelessly to fulfill her duties, traveling extensively throughout the United Kingdom and around the world to meet with leaders and representatives from various countries. Elizabeth also had a deep sense of duty and commitment to the Commonwealth, a group of countries that were formerly part of the British Empire. She was a vocal advocate for the Commonwealth and worked to strengthen the ties between its member nations. Despite the demands of her royal duties, Elizabeth was also a devoted wife and mother. She had 2 children, Prince Charles and Princess Anne, and she was determined to raise them with the same values of duty and service. She wanted them to understand the importance of their role in the monarchy and the impact they could have on the world. However, she also wanted them to have a normal childhood and to enjoy life outside of the palace walls. It was a delicate balance, but Elizabeth was up to the task. Over the years, Elizabeth faced many challenges and controversies. There were times when the monarchy was criticized, and there were also times when she had to make difficult decisions that affected the future of the royal family. But through it all, she remained steadfast and committed to her role as the Queen. She was a symbol of stability and continuity in a rapidly changing world, and people looked to her for guidance and inspiration. Despite the pressures of her royal duties, Elizabeth also found time to pursue her own interests and hobbies. She was a passionate horsewoman and enjoyed riding and racing horses. She was also a keen gardener and took great pride in the gardens at Buckingham Palace and Windsor Castle. In addition, Elizabeth had a deep love of nature and the outdoors. She was a patron of several environmental organizations and was a vocal advocate for the protection of wildlife and the natural world. Throughout her life, Elizabeth was widely respected and admired around the world. She was known for her grace, dignity, and sense of duty. She was also a champion of charitable causes and was a patron or supporter of hundreds of charities and organizations. Her dedication to making a positive impact on the world was an inspiration to millions of people. At the age of 90, Elizabeth became the longest reigning monarch in British history, surpassing the reign of Queen Victoria. It was a remarkable achievement and a testament to her dedication to her role and her people. However, she continued to carry out her duties with the same vigor and enthusiasm as she had at the beginning of her reign. As the years passed, Elizabeth's health began to decline, but she refused to slow down. And when she eventually passed away at the age of 96, she left behind a legacy of service, dedication, and grace. Her death was mourned around the world, and people from all walks of life came together to pay tribute to the woman who had been a constant presence in their lives for so many years. So this was the story of Queen Elizabeth's life. Hope you liked it. Now tell me in the comments section below, what are your thoughts about her? How did you feel after listening to this story? Please share your answers in the comments section below. If you want me to make a video on any other topic, please let me know in the comments section below. If you have subscribed to our channel, like this video, share it with your friends and family members, and also comment below and tell me how many new words you learned in this lesson. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so, and don't forget to press the bell icon so that you won't miss out on any of our upcoming videos. Thank you for listening, and see you next time.